Ladies and gentlemen, respected elders, my dear friends, today I want to share a message that touches the heart, especially as we step into the beautiful phase of life called old age, a phase where life slows down just enough for us to finally notice the things we once ignored, a phase where wisdom speaks louder than worries. But before we begin, let me ask you a question. Prioritizing your peace above everything is not just a principle for old age, it is a necessity shaped by decades of experience, sacrifice, and emotional investment. After spending most of your life juggling responsibilities, meeting expectations, and constantly adjusting yourself to fit the needs of others, there comes a moment when you realize that peace is the most precious possession you can have. In old age, this realization becomes even stronger, because you finally understand that inner stability matters far more than external validation. Peace is no longer something to hope for. It becomes something you must intentionally protect. As you reach this stage of life, you begin to notice that the same things that once felt important no longer carry the same weight. Arguments seem unnecessary, opinions lose their power to hurt, and people's judgments feel lighter than before. This shift happens because age gives you clarity. You see life for what it truly is, a journey too short to be wasted on stress, conflicts, and constant worrying. Prioritizing peace means choosing what adds value to your soul and letting go of everything that disturbs your mental and emotional balance. It means understanding that your energy is limited, and whatever you have left must be guarded with care. When you place peace at the center of your life, you begin to filter your environment differently. You stop engaging in conversations that drain you. You distance yourself from people who bring negativity, and you allow only those who genuinely uplift you to remain close. This does not come from anger or ego, it comes from wisdom. You learn that not everyone deserves access to your mind and heart. Protecting your peace means choosing silence over arguments, maturity over reaction, and understanding over frustration. It means valuing your serenity more than the need to prove yourself right. At this age, peace also comes from accepting life as it is, without resisting what you cannot change. You start embracing imperfections, your own and others. You recognize that every situation will not always go your way, and every person will not understand you. Instead of fighting these truths, you begin to flow with them. Acceptance itself becomes a source of peace. It saves you from unnecessary emotional battles and allows you to live each day with a sense of calm and clarity. Another important part of prioritizing your peace is learning to be comfortable with solitude. Many people fear being alone, but with age, solitude transforms into a companion that brings comfort, reflection, and healing. You realize that being alone does not mean being lonely. It means having the time to reconnect with yourself. It means enjoying quiet mornings, peaceful walks, gentle conversations with your inner thoughts. Solitude gives you space to hear yourself again, something that often gets lost in the noise of responsibilities during earlier stages of life. Prioritizing peace also requires letting go of emotional baggage. You cannot carry old regrets, grudges, or disappointments into a phase of life that is meant to be peaceful. Forgiveness becomes easier, not for others, but for your own freedom. You begin to release past hurts because you finally understand that holding on to them only hurts you, not anyone else. Letting go does not erase what happened. It simply frees your mind from constant replaying. This mental release creates emotional space for peace to grow. Most importantly, prioritizing peace teaches you to value yourself. You stop compromising your comfort to please others. You stop apologizing for choosing what is best for your mental health. You stop bending your boundaries to accommodate people who do not appreciate your efforts. In older age, self-respect becomes non-negotiable. You no longer feel guilty for choosing rest, silence, distance, or simplicity. Peace becomes your compass, guiding every decision you make. When you prioritize peace, you transform the quality of your life. You become calmer, wiser, and more centered. Small things bring joy, big things seem manageable, and unnecessary things fade away. Peace gives you strength, clarity, and emotional freedom. It becomes the most meaningful gift you offer yourself after years of giving to everyone else. Loving yourself the way you loved everyone else is one of the most transformative realizations that old age brings. Throughout life, you pour your energy into caring for others, children, family, friends, colleagues, neighbors. You consistently put their needs before your own, often ignoring your own comfort, health, and emotional space. You stay awake so they can sleep peacefully. You sacrifice your desires so theirs can flourish. And you keep giving long after you are tired. But with time, you begin to understand that love is not meant to flow outward only. It must also return inward. In this phase of life, loving yourself is not selfish, it is essential. As you grow older, your understanding of love deepens. You realize that for years, you have operated from a place of responsibility, duty, and affection toward others, but rarely toward your own well-being. You offered patience, compassion, forgiveness, and understanding to those around you, yet often denied those same qualities to yourself. You are gentle with others when they make mistakes, but harsh with yourself when you falter. You comfort others when they feel low, but you ignore your own emotional wounds. This imbalance, although rooted in kindness, drains you over time. Loving yourself in old age means rebalancing that scale. It means finally offering yourself the same kindness, support, and respect you spent decades giving to everyone else. It starts with recognizing your worth, not based on what you can provide, but on who you are. Over the years, you have gathered wisdom, experience, resilience, and stories that shaped you into the person you are today. Loving yourself means acknowledging that your journey deserves appreciation, not neglect. This stage of life gives you the space to reflect on how much you have given. You recall the times you put aside your dreams so others could pursue theirs, the moments you hid your pain so no one else would worry, and the days you worked endlessly to ensure others felt secure. These reflections are not for regret. They are reminders that you have spent a lifetime giving love. Now, your heart deserves to receive that same love from you. Loving yourself also means taking care of your physical and emotional health. You start listening to your body with more attention. If it needs rest, you rest. If it needs nourishment, you eat with awareness. If it needs movement, you walk slowly but steadily. You no longer push yourself beyond your limits just to meet expectations. Your health becomes a priority, not an afterthought. Emotionally, loving yourself means creating a safe environment within your own mind. You stop criticizing yourself for past decisions and start appreciating the courage it took to make them. You replace self-blame with self-understanding. You allow yourself to feel joy without guilt, to feel sadness without suppressing it, and to feel pride without hesitation. You speak to yourself with the kindness you would offer a loved one. Another important part of loving yourself is embracing your individuality. You no longer compete, compare, or chase societal standards. You understand that your journey is unique and incomparable. You honor your strengths, accept your weaknesses, and forgive your imperfections. You realize that loving yourself does not require perfection, only honesty and compassion. When you begin to love yourself, you naturally detach from situations and people that drain your energy. You recognize that caring for others does not mean sacrificing yourself. You can still be supportive, but you no longer deplete your emotional reserves to meet unrealistic expectations. You choose interactions that nurture your spirit and avoid those that burden your heart. With age comes the powerful understanding that your happiness matters. Loving yourself means giving permission to enjoy the present, cherish small pleasures, and live without constantly worrying about others' opinions. You learn to enjoy solitude, celebrate your achievements, and acknowledge your emotional needs. Ultimately, loving yourself the way you loved others allows your life to feel balanced, peaceful, and complete. It honors your past sacrifices and sets a foundation for a more emotionally fulfilling future. Letting go of people who don't value you is one of the most liberating yet challenging lessons that old age teaches. Throughout life, you invest in relationships with sincerity, loyalty, and genuine affection. You give your time, your effort, your emotional presence, sometimes even your dreams, believing that the other person will reciprocate that same care. But as the years pass, you slowly begin to notice that not everyone you hold close holds you with the same importance. Some people remain only when they need you. Others disappear when you need them the most. Some take you for granted, expecting your support without ever offering theirs. And eventually, you reach a point where you must choose what truly matters, your peace or the weight of one-sided relationships. In old age, emotional clarity becomes sharper. You are no longer trapped in the illusions of who people pretend to be. You see their actions, not their promises. You observe their consistency, not their excuses. When someone values you, you feel it in their presence. When they don't, you feel it in their absence. You learn to stop begging for the attention that should come naturally. You stop over-explaining to people who have already made up their minds. You stop waiting for appreciation from those who don't even acknowledge your efforts. Letting go becomes necessary not out of anger, but out of self-respect. Releasing such relationships is not easy. You carry years of memories, shared experiences, and emotional bonds. But with maturity, you understand that keeping someone in your life who continuously drains your energy is far more painful than letting them go. You realize that loyalty does not mean tolerating disrespect. Love does not require losing your dignity. And familiarity does not justify emotional neglect. Letting go is a quiet but powerful act of self-protection. As you embrace this stage of life, you begin to understand the value of your emotional space. You no longer want chaos, arguments, misunderstandings, or constant disappointments. You want peace, warmth, and sincerity. This clarity helps you recognize which relationships nurture your well-being and which ones suffocate it. People who value you will show it effortlessly. They will respect your time, appreciate your presence, and make you feel seen. Those who don't will always leave you questioning your worth, something you should never have to do. Letting go also teaches you the importance of boundaries. You begin to set limits not because you dislike others, but because you finally love yourself enough to protect your emotional stability. You stop answering calls from those who only reach out when they need something. You distance yourself from people who constantly criticize, gossip, or burden you with negativity. You invest your time in individuals who bring joy, positivity, and mutual respect into your life. With age comes the realization that not every relationship is meant to last forever. Some people are lessons, not lifelong companions. You learn to accept this truth without resentment. You understand that just as you grow, others do too. And sometimes growth leads you in different directions. Letting go does not mean erasing anyone from your heart. It means accepting that their role in your life has changed. Most importantly, letting go of those who don't value you opens space for those who will. You create room for genuine connections, for people who appreciate your wisdom, respect your boundaries, and bring harmony into your life. You learn that being alone is far better than being surrounded by people who make you feel lonely. You realize that your circle doesn't need to be large, it just needs to be real. In old age, you finally grant yourself permission to walk away from relationships that no longer serve your growth or peace. You choose quality over quantity, sincerity over convenience, and self-respect over emotional burden. And in doing so, you rediscover your own strength, dignity, and inner calm. Healing from the past and learning to live in the present is one of the most profound emotional transitions that old age encourages. Throughout life, people carry invisible baggage, regrets, disappointments, broken relationships, missed opportunities, and unresolved emotions. These memories often stay tucked away, yet they silently influence decisions, shape perspective, and affect inner peace. But as you grow older, you begin to understand that holding on to what cannot be changed only steals the joy that still remains ahead of you. This realization is not sudden. It comes gently through reflection, maturity, and an honest understanding of life's impermanence. With age, the past starts to feel like a distant echo. You look back and see moments you wish had unfolded differently, words you never said, decisions you regret, chances you didn't take, and times you allowed fear or circumstances to dictate your path. For years you might have carried guilt, blaming yourself for not knowing better. But wisdom teaches you a powerful truth. You made the decisions you made with the understanding, resources, and emotions you had at that moment. Blaming your past self for not having today's wisdom is unfair. Healing begins when you accept that you cannot rewrite your history, but you can choose how it influences your present. Letting go of past hurts requires emotional courage. Hurt caused by others, especially those you trusted deeply, can leave scars that remain for decades. But holding on to resentment only ties you to the source of your pain. In old age, you learn that forgiveness is not about excusing behavior. It is about reclaiming your peace. It is an act of freeing yourself from emotional captivity. You begin to understand that people behave according to their own maturity, struggles, and limitations. Their actions may have wounded you, but letting those wounds define your present only gives them continued power. Healing emerges through acceptance, understanding, and the willingness to release emotional weight. Living in the present becomes easier when you stop allowing the past to replay in your mind. Age teaches you to appreciate life moment by moment. You begin to notice small joys that once went unseen. The warmth of sunlight, the comfort of silence, the sweetness of simple conversations, the calmness of mornings. You realize that the present is the only place where life truly exists. The past is memory. The future is imagination. But the present is reality, a reality that deserves your full attention. Living in the present also helps you let go of the need for perfection. You no longer chase achievements to prove something to the world. You no longer live based on expectations or societal pressures. Instead, you begin to focus on inner fulfillment. The present moment becomes a space where you can enjoy life without rushing, without comparing, without worrying. It gives you freedom from the burdens of yesterday and the anxieties about tomorrow. As you heal from past experiences, you develop a deeper sense of gratitude. You begin to appreciate the journey that shaped you, the challenges that taught you resilience, the losses that taught you acceptance, and the victories that taught you confidence. Even painful moments become a part of your story that contributed to your strength. Healing does not erase them, but it allows you to look at them without emotional heaviness. Living in the present also encourages emotional balance. Instead of dwelling on what went wrong, you focus on what is going right. Instead of remembering who hurt you, you appreciate who supports you now. Instead of thinking about opportunities missed, you embrace the opportunities that still exist. You begin to understand that the beauty of life is not measured by how much time you have left, but by how deeply you live each day. Ultimately, healing from the past and embracing the present allows you to experience old age with grace, clarity, and tranquility. It becomes a gentle reminder that every moment, no matter how ordinary, has the potential to bring peace, joy, and meaning when you choose to be fully present. Engaging in activities that nourish your soul becomes increasingly meaningful as you move into the later stages of life. After decades spent fulfilling responsibilities, meeting obligations, and prioritizing the needs of others, old age offers a rare and beautiful opportunity to reconnect with yourself. It allows you to rediscover simple joys, explore forgotten interests, and build a deeper relationship with your own inner world. At this point in life, nourishing your soul is no longer a luxury. It becomes an essential part of emotional well-being and inner peace. Throughout your life, you may have postponed many desires, reading a book you always wanted to finish, learning something new, spending time in nature, listening to music, or simply enjoying peaceful moments with yourself. Responsibilities often overshadow personal passions, leaving little room for activities that genuinely uplift your spirit. But as you grow older, you come to realize that those small joys are not insignificant. They are the very moments that add meaning, richness, and warmth to your days. They remind you that life is not measured only by what you achieved, but also by what made you feel alive. Nourishing your soul begins with understanding what truly brings you joy. For some, it may be reading inspirational literature that opens the mind to new perspectives. For others, it may be walking slowly in a garden, observing the details of nature, the sound of rustling leaves, the scent of flowers, the calming rhythm of birdsong. These moments help you slow down and be present, allowing your thoughts to settle and your heart to relax. They reconnect you to the world around you in a gentle, grounding way. For many, spiritual practices become more meaningful with age. Prayer, meditation, quiet reflection, or simply sitting in silence can bring profound comfort. These practices create a space where you can listen to your inner voice, reflect on your journey, and cultivate gratitude. They help you let go of unnecessary worries and embrace calmness. A nourished soul naturally becomes more peaceful, more patient, and more in harmony with life. Creative activities also serve as powerful nourishment. Whether it's painting, writing, crafting, cooking, or gardening, creativity allows you to express what words cannot. It gives shape to your emotions, thoughts, and imagination. Creativity brings a sense of purpose and fulfillment, reminding you that there are still new experiences to enjoy, new skills to explore, and new parts of yourself to discover. It keeps your mind active, your heart inspired, and your spirit engaged. Engaging in meaningful conversations is another way to nourish your soul. Spending time with people who uplift you, who share positive energy, who listen without judgment, these interactions rejuvenate your emotional health. Surrounding yourself with genuine companionship allows you to feel connected, supported, and valued. At this stage of life, quality matters far more than quantity. Even a single heartfelt conversation can have a profound impact on your emotional well-being. Equally important is allowing yourself moments of rest. Many people underestimate the power of simply doing nothing, of sitting quietly, reflecting on life, or enjoying a peaceful afternoon. Rest is not inactivity, it is a form of nourishment. It helps your mind reset, your body recharge, and your emotions stabilize. Rest teaches you that it is perfectly acceptable to pause, breathe, and just be. Engaging in soul-nourishing activities also strengthens your sense of identity. You begin to see yourself not just as a parent, a worker, or a caregiver, but as an individual with passions, talents, and dreams that continue to evolve. It reminds you that life does not stop giving you new experiences just because you have reached a certain age. Instead, it invites you to embrace your inner world with curiosity and appreciation. As you dedicate time to activities that nurture your soul, you cultivate a more joyful and meaningful life. You become more centered, more self-aware, and more in tune with your emotions. You realize that happiness is not something to chase outside. It is something to create within. Old age then becomes not a period of decline, but a period of enrichment, a chance to nourish your soul in ways you may never have been able to before. Protecting your boundaries without guilt becomes one of the most empowering practices in the later stages of life. After years spent accommodating others, adjusting your needs, and carrying responsibilities that often stretched beyond your comfort, old age brings a refreshing clarity. It teaches you that your time, energy, and emotional stability are valuable resources. Resources that must be guarded with intention and confidence. Setting boundaries is not an act of rebellion. It is an act of self-respect. It is the recognition that your peace matters just as much as the comfort of others. Throughout your life, you may have been conditioned to say yes, even when you wanted to say no. You may have allowed situations, behaviors, and conversations that drained you simply to avoid conflict or disappointment. You may have put aside your own needs to fulfill expectations placed upon you. But as you grow older, you begin to understand that constantly putting yourself last only leads to exhaustion and emotional imbalance. You realize that it is not your responsibility to carry the burdens of everyone around you, especially when doing so comes at the cost of your own well-being. Protecting your boundaries starts with acknowledging your limits. You become aware of how much emotional space you have, how much energy you can give, and how much involvement truly serves your peace. You begin to decline invitations that feel overwhelming. Avoid conversations that bring negativity, and distance yourself from people who consistently take more than they give. You no longer feel obligated to please everyone or to participate in situations that disrupt your inner calm. With age comes the confidence to make decisions that align with your needs rather than the expectations of others. You stop apologizing for prioritizing your mental and emotional health. You understand that saying no does not make you unkind, it makes you honest. Every boundary you set becomes a silent affirmation that you choose peace over pressure, clarity over confusion, and emotional wellness over unnecessary stress. One of the most powerful aspects of setting boundaries is the way it changes the dynamics of your relationships. People who genuinely value you will respect your limits without question. They will understand when you need space, when you prefer silence, or when you choose rest over social interaction. Their respect will deepen your connection. On the other hand, those who resist your boundaries or make you feel guilty for protecting your peace reveal their true intentions. They are not upset because you said no. They are upset because your no longer benefits them. Setting boundaries also strengthens your sense of identity. You begin to recognize your worth beyond your roles and responsibilities. You understand that your purpose is not to be constantly available or endlessly accommodating. You allow yourself to be human, to rest, to reflect, to exist without obligations. This gives you the freedom to live authentically and intentionally. Protecting your boundaries also includes emotional boundaries. Choosing not to absorb the negativity of others, refusing to internalize criticism that is unfair, and separating your self-worth from the opinions of people who do not truly understand you. You learn that you are not responsible for the emotions of others, nor must you carry the weight of their expectations. You stop explaining your decisions to people who are determined not to understand them. Instead, you focus on what uplifts your spirit and nurtures your inner peace. In old age, boundaries become a bridge to healthier living. They allow you to enjoy life without feeling stretched thin. They create space for activities that genuinely matter and people who add real value to your days. They help you maintain emotional balance, reduce unnecessary stress, and build a life that feels aligned with your true self. And most importantly, they give you the freedom to live with dignity and calmness. Setting boundaries is not about shutting people out. It is about letting yourself in. It is about honoring your needs, protecting your heart, and choosing a life where peace is non-negotiable. So, my dear friends, as you move forward, hold this thought close to your heart. Life becomes beautiful when you stop expecting from others and start investing in yourself. Cherish your peace, protect your happiness, celebrate your journey. Old age is not the end. It is the beginning of living for you. Thank you so much.